Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the phrase, all lives matter. In a healthy and just society, this would be a perfectly common sense slogan. It would be widely endorsed and agreed upon by everyone, including the ruling ideology. But unfortunately, this no longer seems to be the case in America. Over the past several weeks, we've actually seen people lose their jobs for saying all lives matter. Furthermore, the mayor of Melrose expressed outrage that an All Lives Matter sign was being displayed on Main Street. I have just been made aware that the following traffic sign is being displayed on Main Street. I have ordered that it be taken down immediately, and am taking steps to find out how this happened. I apologize to the residents of Melrose. Are you sure you mean all the residents of Melrose? Most recently, a young white mother was shot in the head and murdered for allegedly saying all lives matter to a Black Lives Matter mob. Jessica Doty Whittaker was shot and killed following an altercation with Black Lives Matter thugs who were upset that she and her fiancé had said all lives matter last Sunday. Jessica was walking along Indianapolis Canal Walk with her fiancé Jose Ramirez and two other people around 3 a.m. on July 5th when someone in their group used a racial slur, Fox 59 reported. Obviously, if somebody in the group did in fact use a racial slur, then it's perfectly understandable why the Black Lives Matter group would be upset, although this in no way justifies violence or particularly murder. And also, the article does not say that Jessica herself was the one who used the racial slur. A group of nearby strangers overheard the comment and confronted Jessica Whittaker's group, according to the station. Ramirez alleged that the group shouted Black Lives Matter, to which either Whittaker or somebody else in their group reportedly responded with all lives matter. A brief argument ensued until both sides separated after realizing the other was armed, Fox 59 reported. Ramirez claimed that both sides managed to resolve the argument before separating. But minutes later, someone reportedly opened fire from a nearby bridge, striking Jessica Whittaker before running away, the station said. It was squashed, and they went up the hill and left, we thought, but they were sitting on St. Clair waiting for us to come under the bridge, and that's when she got shot, Ramirez said. Jessica's grandfather posted on Facebook that, quote, multiple black assailants shot her in the head. At the moment, details about this story are still emerging. Whether Jessica was shot because somebody in her group used a racial slur or because she said all lives matter, it still isn't clear. But what is clear is that we've seen a tremendous amount of pushback to the phrase all lives matter in recent months. The narrative is that only Black Lives Matter should matter right now because their house, so to speak, is the one that's on fire and every other group has inferior and superficial struggles. This, of course, couldn't be further from the truth, but any white person or even black person who dares to point this out is targeted and mobbed. If you would like to see the truth about the statistics surrounding this issue, then please do check out my previous video, which I will link in the description. I truly do hope that the scumbag, whoever they are, who murdered Jessica is immediately identified and locked up for life. I also hope that there are peaceful protests held for her, and that her death simply isn't brushed aside and forgotten. However, I personally don't have high hopes that much of the mainstream media is going to report on this story, because to do so would be to damage the Black Lives Matter movement. And the media has shown time and time again that they're just not interested in reporting on the negative aspects of this movement. They're much more interested in reporting on crimes when a right-winger is involved or a white person, and then as soon as that happens, they report on it relentlessly. We've actually seen several examples over the past few weeks of leftists loudly sounding the alarm as soon as they believe that perhaps a right-winger or a white person has committed an act of violence or hate. Firstly, the quote-unquote noose that was found in Bubba Wallace's NASCAR garage turned out to be a garage door pole that had been there since 2019. Also, the black man, Robert Fuller, who was found hanging from a tree in California last month, was not in fact lynched and had been severely depressed and had hung himself. Then you had the driver in Seattle who hit two female Black Lives Matter protesters on the freeway, killing one of them, and he wasn't white. Then you had another man in Seattle who brandished a gun as a result of being chased by protesters in his car, and he wasn't white. Then you had the Black Lives Matter protester who shot and killed a journalist in Louisville, and he also wasn't white. But of course, the truth about these stories receives very little mainstream media attention. For the mainstream media, it's extremist right-wing violence committed by white people that poses the greatest threat, and that's what everybody should be focusing on and fearing. And while undoubtedly right-wing violence and extremism is also terrible and should be denounced wherever and whenever it occurs, no other violence aside from right-wing violence seems to matter to these people. In fact, in many cases when left-wing violence occurs, the media and activists either try to ignore it, blame it on right-wingers, or to even justify it. Since day one, I have rejected the violent Marxist Black Lives Matter and Antifa movements and their extremist ideologies, because that's what they are. And I reject them even more strongly now. I reject their blatant and abhorrent hatred of white people and whiteness. I reject their deceitful narrative that everyone who opposes them is racist. I reject their violent tactics in order to achieve their political and cultural goals. I reject their tearing down of our statues and their attempts to erase our history. I reject their hatred of the nuclear family and especially of Christianity. I reject all of it, and I'm going to keep speaking out against it and peacefully protesting as long as I possibly can. And I really do encourage all of you to do the same. It truly is frightening that the phrase "all lives matter" even needs to be argued, that it meets any sort of protest whatsoever. But this is scarily enough where America and much of Europe finds itself today. We have an incredibly difficult ideological battle ahead of us, one that no politician is going to single-handedly defeat. There is no savior, no hero we can rely on to fight this ideological battle for us. The future of our countries is up to us. It's in our own hands. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you all soon.